All right, here we go. Leadership, mentoring, coaching. So it's knowing the difference between these three things and what qualities each one has. When you know the difference between the leadership, coaching, and mentoring, you can then answer the part two of your assessment. So leadership, we do look at as if they are our managers, if CEOs, government. You can also look at leaders of sport, who's someone you're a role model to, someone you look up to, and rely on. So when we look at leaders, what are the qualities that these leaders have? Well, you can, without me even turning to the next PowerPoint, I bet there's some qualities you can hear yourself saying. If you have a really, really good leader, what do you expect from them? Communication, possibly? Praise and motivation? Keep thinking. Don't go to the next slide. How about they need to know their job? And they're only as good as the people under them, aren't they? So, Richard Branson, he, the owner of Virgin, he had this amazing quote saying he wouldn't be a multimillionaire if it wasn't for his amazing staff. And he does lots of quotes about that, about how good his staff is, and that's because he's trained them and has got a good policy that makes him more and more money 24/7. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, the next slide basically talks about good and bad leaders. I can guarantee every one of you have experienced a bad leader, some type, shape, or form. They either could be really, really bad. Think of Hitler. Think of Trump. Even Boris Johnson, they're not doing the best for their country, are they? I think about those in the Olympics when that Russian shot putter was taking drugs the whole time to beat Valerie Adams, not a really good role model of sport as well. Music, everyone has different tastes. When you're bringing up teenagers, you want to be careful of what those lyrics are like. Billie Eilish, Billie English, or what have you. Brilliant beat, brilliant songs, but it talks about depression and suicide and stuff. Not really the best thing that I would like to see my children look up to, even though I know she's good and she's a world leader of her age group. So there are lots of bad leaders that still make it out there. Okay, but once we realize the qualities they should have, then you can realize where their faults are. All right. Think of some really good leaders. I think personally, we've got a great leader right now. She shut the borders before anyone else. She's got us in isolation. Our numbers are declining. I'm so glad to be in New Zealand right now. Religion. Okay, so there's lots of religions out there if you're religious, the Catholic, Christian, Jehovah's, they're all good religion, but then you can get these religions that turn into terrorists. Actions and cults, they're still a type of religion, but not necessarily a good one, eh? So there's good and bad for everything. And if you were to name some, you can name your own. When you do name your own bad leaders, we're going to find out, what are they missing? Okay, what are they missing? Are they honest and integrity? So straight away, Donald Trump is definitely not. He's far from honest, isn't he? He lies about everything that comes out of his mouth, or he says one thing and then the week after he says, oh, I didn't say that. So when you want a leader, you want them to be honest with you 24/7, not pull the wool over your eyes. You don't want your manager's manager going, yes, don't worry, you've got a job for the next 3 weeks. The next minute you get a letter saying you're unemployed. So you really want to feel honest with them and them honest with you. I'm going to skip a few and come back to them as well. Confidence. They need to be confident in their decisions. If you're under a leader that is constantly questioning himself or herself, really, you got confidence in them? Because they haven't got confidence in themselves. They need to know the job, really, don't they? Communication is key. I personally think communication is key from no matter what level you're at, leader, management, staff, stacking shelves, which is now the best job in the world, most admired and upskilled. So communication is key, and you expect that from a leader. Confidence, inspiration, I've said confidence, inspiration and commitment and passion. Now, when you go to work, if there's something you don't know and you've been told to do, you expect to be taught, don't you? You expect to be coached, and that person that's coaching you has got the leader that's given that coach those qualities. If they're not and they're chucking you in the deep end, I don't really see any qualities in that, and the leader should be picking up on that. If that leader is passionate about where they work, you're going to be passionate. If they come in and they want to be there and they have got great communication and they're looking to upskill their job 24/7 and they're passionate, your demurrer changes as well, doesn't it? Cool. You hope your leader has the capabilities of making decisions there and then. You want to be able to go up to your leader and say, do I do this or this? They should be bang, this is how it works because this is the best way. When we talk about this is the best way, creativity and innovation. Your leader, your manager, your role model, whoever it might be, should be looking at ways of um, how can I say this, of whatever you're doing now, a way that's more effective, not so much cutting costs, but could be cutting costs, could be making whatever you're doing better for the client by using different products, better products, and also making it to their industry. So we're talking about healthcare. It used to be task orientated. You'll notice now that it's person centered care. That was creativity and innovation by certain managers in certain rest homes. Gone of the day in some rest homes, right? Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have to be up and showered by 9 o'clock. These guys have to be up and showered by 5 o'clock. If number two didn't want to get up and shower, now it's that's okay. As long as you have a shower within 2 days, we can come back and do it again. That's person centered care. And that's because the creativity of that leader involved in that and realized it was better for the client. So, yeah, you want them to be creative and not sticking by the old school books. We've had a few conversations with students. That's what some leaders are doing. They will not incorporate software. They're still sticking to the pen and pencil, and they're not listening to the youngsters that are coming through with the qualifications, which is quite sad, really. But hey, you want them to be accountable. You want to know where they are, really. Yeah, you don't want to go into work and go, oh, I wonder where my boss is today. Oh well, that happens to us a lot. We have no idea. We're better now, but we used to have no idea where our managers was. Wouldn't know who to go to. Nothing. It's much better now, much better. But it felt as if you weren't valued. So in one way it's like, oh my god, the manager's in today, I've got to make sure I'm at my game. But it should be that, like that, even if they're not. But wouldn't it be nice to know is I'm on shift today, that my manager's here 12 till 3, I can go and ask them any questions. So you want them to be accountable, so you can go and see them, so you can ask questions, and also if they've done something wrong, they want to own it, be accountable for their actions. Empathy is a great one. Not all leaders are empathetic. It might be you ring up and say your cat's passed away and you're extremely upset and you're not going to be in today. Some leaders might turn and go, oh my God, it's a cat, but that cat could be the only thing that that person has, no children, nothing. So it's about being empathetic and getting on that wavelength with the employees that they have as well. Inspiration. You want to look up to your leader. You want to be like them. You want to have everything that they've got in far as knowledge wise and creativity and all these qualities that they have. So there's some of the qualities. Now, in your workbook or in your assessment, these are some of the keywords you can take. But when you take them, you have to put a tiny little sentence beside it. Confidence. What does confidence mean? So if you're going to choose the word confidence, I expect my leader to be confident in the skills and the decision making that they are giving. If you wanted to say a great communicator, you could go on to say, well, I hope to and expect my leader to be able to communicate down all the stages and the scales of the staff so you get the same message as the person 3 steps up. So, yeah, please expand on these qualities of a leader. So, we're going to start comparing a leader between a coach and between a mentor as well. How little bits of differences they've got. So, the next page, coaching skills, coach and coaching skills. So, a leader could be like your manager of the whole industry, and then under that leader, you might have a clinical manager and you might have a rest home manager, and then you could have a facilities manager as well. Now, they're still managers, which means they're leaders, but they're also individual in the knowledge that they know. Okay, so let me also feed that back to Lewis and I. I am skilled in anatomy and physiology because that's my background, that's my degree, and that's my pathway. So I can teach all about the human body, and I'm confident in that. Lewis, he's got wider field. He was an RN, a theatre nurse, you name it. He's done it for years and years and years. So his skills are what he's delivering, and he's the best person for that. So what a coach does, they still have to have the best communication so they can deliver the best skills to the individual. That communication has to change to depending on who they are talking to as well. Okay, it might be someone that's nervous and shy, so you don't want to be dictating and shouting. You want to be communicating with them nicely. It might be someone who's second language, so you have to talk slower. So these are some of the skills. Knowledge, that's almost going back to, again, Lewis and I. I have knowledge and advanced experience in anatomy and physiology, Lewis the other side. Same with what we talked about in your industry. You have a clinical manager, you have a facilitator. They are experienced in their areas. There is no way I could go and teach what Lewis is teaching. I have not got that depth of knowledge. He actually possibly could come and teach what I'm teaching because of his background, but he wouldn't be as confident as that. So you need to have a really good depth of knowledge in what you are coaching onto someone else. You can't be winging it. What you are coaching, you want to be you want to be passionate about it and positive. You've probably been under an umbrella where someone's just gone, do that, turn that button, turn that, answer that, and you're just thinking, why am I even here? Why am I bothering? Okay, that coach has to show the passion that they love what they're doing, they're there for a reason, and they want to share their skills. They want to share them skills. You may come across where some coaches won't share their skills because they don't want you to be as good as them. They're threatened by you taking their job. That's terrible. Okay, it's the worst way of looking at it. The more people that you can share your knowledge with, the better the surroundings and environment yours will be. So know the person. This goes a little bit back to the communication, knowing the person. Understand how the person you are coaching, because you're all going to be doing it, or you've had it done to you, what's the best to get the best out of them. I did mention a bit about second language. Elderly, if you're trying to get one of your clients to do something for themselves every day, of course it's communicating a bit slower and clearer and with a smiley face. If you're doing it with staff, you might want to be more upbeat, make it a challenge, make it a game, see who can do the best. So you want to find out about the person that you are coaching so you can deliver effectively. I know in the sports degree, then when they're coaching something, if someone does something wrong or incorrectly, they go, get down, do 10 press ups. You can imagine if I said that to you guys, get down, do 10 press ups, you said that wrong. It wouldn't suit our style, would it? It would just be like, great question, love your answer, but we'll change it around. So everyone has that different um, reciprocant. All right, if you are coaching, be consistent. Don't say, I've coached you once, you should know it by now. All right, everybody's individual. You might have to go back and coach one person 6, 7 times till they get it perfectly. So be it. All right, don't get annoyed with them, just so be it. And make sure by doing it that way, you are very, very approachable. And what do you mean by being approachable? You don't want anyone being too scared to ask you, I can't remember how to do this. I'm too scared to ask. All right. So these are some of the skills of being a coach is. Already, I want you to think, when have you done this to someone? When has someone taken you under your wing and had to have some of these skills? I want you thinking like that as well. Oh, this is what I've just asked. Okay. So I want you thinking, when have you had to coach someone, going back to that effective journal, or when has someone coached you? That is part of your next course coming up, part of the next assignment, sorry. So when it asks you for describe coaching, you're going to put some of these words down, but you have to put a description about it. Know the person is a really good one. How do they roll? What motivates them? And how are you going to get the best out of teaching that person? How can your communication change? Knowledge you should put in under the qualities of coaching, okay? Because you want to make sure that person knows their stuff. How do you know their stuff? What if you think they're wrong? You should be able to approach them and ask them 2 or 3 times, So these are going in your reflective journal. This will help you with the start of the first 2 questions. These are quite simple-ish. While you're writing this down, start looking at the difference between leadership and coaching. Obviously, there's a few straight away. A leadership's got to know about everything. Coaching has a strength in one area. Few things cross over. Communication is key. Know the person. Leadership needs to know everyone, don't they? But in your coaching, you just have a certain criteria because you are teaching a certain amount of people. This is just some questions that we would have got you talking in class. How can you include some coaching skills to motivate the wellness of your client? This is about empowerment. So this is just something you're going to be doing every day, but it's good to think about it. If your client was just, and they can get a little bit lazy because you're doing everything for them. Think of ways that you can actually empower them to do it themselves, and then how you're going to reward them verbally as well. Depending on their background, you don't want to make them feel silly as well. So that would, if you empower them and reward them verbally, their wellness will uplift and they'll be starting to be more independent. Also, how can you include some coaching skills to motivate the team? If something's working well with you that you've incorporated, there's no harm sharing that knowledge. You're not being a big head, you're not boasting. It's the way you word it. It's like, hey, I've been doing this and it seems to be working. Would you be keen? It might be something that's got to go and write in, but these are skills that you're going to cross with each other. Okay, so the first 2 questions are almost answers once we finish this. Now, mentoring is quite different. I hope you can't hear that, guys. Ah, Jesus! How do I stop this?